this is the first time I've ever done a car review where I'm tempted to go back to the dealership and sign paperwork and take it home. Hey everybody, Brock Frady here, helping you enjoy your ride. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at this extremely sweet 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Willys. It's got the Willys package. Take a look at that roof. I don't know if you can tell or not, but it's got the coolest feature to where the entire roof just slides right back. We're gonna take a look at all that, including the outside, the inside, all the cool features from the driver's seat. But before we get started, I would like to say a huge thank you to Impex Auto Sales in Greensboro, North Carolina for the opportunity to film this 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. I'll be sure to leave all of Impex's contact information, including their website, in the description box below. In order to get into the Jeep, all you need is to have this key fob on your person. There is a physical key right here. However, that will not be used to start the Jeep. That's only used in the event that the battery dies in the key fob and you have to use that keyhole right there. That's what you'll do. That's pretty easy. You have unlock on the top, lock on the bottom, and then here is your panic alarm right there. Nice Jeep emblem there on the back side of it. I love the way this thing looks. Impex right now has several Jeeps in stock, but this one stuck out to me, I think, because it has the Willys package, and you can see that right there on the hood. It's kind of hidden, but you can still see it. And the reason I like this one is because it's black on black on black, and that is just super sexy looking. You've got the black wheels, blacked out grille, all the stuff on it that makes it look nice and aggressive. So cool. This one is riding on Firestone Destination MT2 tires, and these are going to be LT 255/75/17. You can see there it says M+S. Of course, that means mud and snow. You can see just how knobby those beautiful tires are. I love the blacked out wheels there. Also notice that you have disc brakes up front. You also have disc brakes in the back as well. The front disc brakes are ventilated, so there's a vented portion that passes down the middle of that disc to keep it kind of cooled off during spirited driving. Coming around to the back of it, there's your big old fat rear mounted tire. Another thing that I like here is the rear handle. And once all the doors are unlocked, all you do is pull this handle, and you do have to open the door before the glass. But then once this door is open, or that bottom door is open, that gives you access to opening the rear glass. And there's your rear area, your rear cargo area. That's a pretty big trunk that you have. Notice this one has the upgraded Alpine stereo. That's the big subwoofer back there. I love all the tie downs. You can tell this is definitely a super utilitarian vehicle. You've got 3 big fat tie downs on the left, 3 on the right for a total of 6. And notice you also have a charging port right there. Pretty nice. There's a tab here. You can just pull this tab up and that reveals an extra little storage area there for you. And then here's your panel, and you can push this to the left to open it up, and then it releases this panel here. And then you can see that there is your jack. And from back here you can see that this cloth roof here, and there are your poles that, you know, kind of hold it in place. That thing slides all the way from there all the way back to here. It is so cool. So there's a switch here that says auto, and when you press that, you can see that the roof goes back and it starts to fold up nicely because it's a canvas roof, and it opens all the way to the back. And then once it's open, look how much open space you have. That is just the coolest. I absolutely love that feature. You don't actually have to take the entire roof off or the shell off in order to have a Jeep experience. You can just push a button in a matter of seconds, boom, topless. Love it. There's your bar that goes across all the way to protect you in the event of a rollover. And then you can see here it says top tether. And then there are 3 of those, and that's for your child safety seats. In the event that you have to put child safety seats back there, you just hook them to there, and then you hook them in another couple of places in the seat bottom, and that gives you the ability to have up to 3 child safety seats. Made in the USA, developed in Auburn Hills, Michigan, built in Toledo, Ohio since 1941. All you have to do to close this back up is to simply reverse the process. Glass panel down, door, and that's it. Super easy. Gas tank there, big old tow hook. Then moving to the back seat. Inside of the door panels here are pretty utilitarian because it's a Jeep. That's totally fine. There is a little bit of soft touch material right here, but you have a netted pocket there. Then you have basically a string that holds the door on, kind of, because the doors do come off. And then you've got like these Jeep all-weather mats, and everything is just utilitarian because it's supposed to be. There is a little tab right here, and you can see that this portion, you pull that up, it folds the headrest down. That lets you do that. Fold the seat completely, or the seat back completely down. We're going to go over here to the other side so that you can see what it looks like when you fold all of the seats down. And that's a good amount of room. Let's open this up one more time so you can see what the total storage space is like when the back seat is folded down. That's actually a big area. And it's nice because you have this whole area here with the roof. As high as that roof line is, that's how much storage area you have right there. Isn't that nice? That's a really big storage area. And then when you want to put these seats back up, they're really easy to put back up into that upward position. A couple of cup holders there. That's nice. Those are nice and deep. Then you've got plenty of power outlets. Goodness, look at all those power outlets right there. And one of the things that I really like about this is the technology that Jeep has taken into consideration that we have used nowadays. You can see there's a lightning cable right there for your iPhone, USB, and then even just a regular power outlet right there. Then there are your controls for your rear windows. I'm loving the front of this thing too. It looks like an old school Jeep, but it also looks like a modern vehicle as well. You can see the LED rings right around the lights there, plus the brushed aluminum looking garnish right there, right around your fog light area. That is so cool. You can hear that the little turbocharged 4-cylinder engine is running right now. So let's take a look at the heart of the beast. Now, in order to pop the hood, it's kind of a two-stage process with this latch. So you pop this down, but you notice that there is still a ring that's holding it in. And so you take the hood and you push it down some, and then that loosens that to where it completely releases it. And that's there as a kind of a precaution in the event that you're four-wheeling and you're out in brush and stuff and something comes along and does that. It makes sure that it's got a safety there. So you just push the hood down, lift it up, release it off the hook, and now we're ready. And then in order to actually bring the hood up, you look at this middle section here, and then you lift it up, and there's like a hook underneath there, and you get it from the left. You can see right there. That's how you actually lift it up. Talk about the little engine that could. This thing is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It's turbocharged, and when you turn on the Jeep, it doesn't sound like much, but then you hit the gas, and this thing just comes to life. And it's interesting that, you know, the Jeep looks like that. I mean, big tires, and it's a big vehicle, but it's got this little 4-cylinder turbo engine in it, and on paper that just doesn't seem right. But when you drive it, I mean, it like punches back. It's such a cool experience. I love how it feels. Okay, normally I don't do driving parts, but one of the things that I am most impressed by in this Jeep is this little 4-cylinder engine. This thing is the little engine that could. And I want to show you just holy cow, that thing is crazy. Good gosh. And there's hardly any sound that's coming out of the engine compartment or the exhaust or anything. All you hear is a little bit of a from the turbo, but you really actually feel the pull big time in this thing. It's fantastic. And I don't know if you can hear just how, yes, it's not as quiet as a luxury vehicle, but it's actually really quiet considering that it's got a rag top and that it's a Jeep and it's got big tires on it too. It's got a really, really quiet ride. It's actually a whole lot of fun to drive, especially because of that cool little turbo 4-cylinder engine. When I first saw the specs on this thing, I'm like, oh man, Jeep threw a little 4-cylinder in a big old beefy, toothy Jeep. But man, this thing is so cool. Another feature that I've already shown you when we were sitting still, but I want to show you now that we're driving, is this. Still going, still up. Okay. So now, if you're driving down the road in this thing and everybody in the vehicle says, yeah, let's put the top down, there it is right there. That's all you got to do. And right now you can see that the entire back seat is exposed to the sunlight as well. So that is such a neat thing. Massive, gigantic sunroof. I know it's called something else, but I call it massive, gigantic sunroof. Now the inside of the driver's door is a little bit nicer than the inside of the other doors, simply because you have all the different control switches and everything. And when I say all the different control switches, I mean your mirrors and your lock. So there's your power mirror controls right there. By the way, your mirrors are heated as well. And I like the mirrors. They're nice and square. They're super boxy, and that's kind of nice. They used to be like bigger than that, but now they're not. Then there's your driver's seat, controls for your driver's seat. That's going to be for lumbar support. So whenever you turn that, you can see that lumbar goes in and out. And then here's going to be for your moving your seat up. It's on the lever system there. Kind of nice. Headlight controls are here. I would just recommend leaving them in auto all the time, because whenever the sun goes down, the Jeep can sense it and they will cut on automatically. This is the control for cutting on your headlights manually, parking lights, everything off, but auto is where it's at. Then that is for your fog lights. And then here are for your light dimming for your interior panel, and then for your interior lights as well. So now let's take a look at all the gadgets from the driver's seat. Over on the left side of the steering wheel is going to be your multi-directional keypad, and that's going to change what appears in the display screen that's going to be between your tachometer and your speedometer. To the right of that, Bluetooth and voice commands. And then on the right side of the steering wheel, cruise control. Pretty easy. You can cut the cruise control on right there. When you press this button, it says cruise control ready. And then once you get to the speed that you want to cruise at, you just press set, and then at that point the Jeep takes over and cruises at that set speed. Then you can use set minus and set plus to control, to increase the speed, to decrease the speed, cancel, and resume. Pretty easy. And then on the right side is going to be your wiper stalk, and you have all kinds of stuff going on right here, but you can pull the entire stalk in order to wash off the front glass. You can push it forward toward the front of the Jeep in order to wash off the rear glass. And then your rear wiper is in the middle portion of the stalk here, and then right here is your front wipers. And if it's misting, you can just push this up once, beep, and then that will basically do a single wipe without engaging it full on right there. Over on the left side is your turn signal stalk. I love how the turn signal sounds in this. So that's your turn signal stalk right there. And then also for your brake lights, So you can just lock it, push it forward right there, and pull it back, and it's going to be your brights. Over on the left side, inside the tachometer, that shows you your drivetrain. So that's basically your transfer case: 2 high, 4 high, neutral, and 4 low. Temperature, fuel, speedometer. And then in the corners of that, you can see your direction, that's your compass, and then your external temperature. So right here, you can just basically use these buttons to navigate. I just pressed it to the right, and then it says speedometer. Press OK to switch it to kilometers per hour. And now from this point, I'm gonna move up and down. Speedometer, vehicle info, off-road, so that allows me to see my drivetrain. Then I can press left and right. Look at that, pitch and roll. Man, how cool is that? Going down, there's fuel economy, instant. Press OK to reset. Trip info. And then start, stop, not ready. Driver seatbelt unbuckled. Start, stop is right there. And that makes it so that whenever you come to a complete stop, it can shut off the engine to save fuel. And it's kind of interesting because whenever the light is actually on, that means the feature is off. So you can see here, the light is on and it says start, stop is off. So I can press it in again, and now it's ready once the driver's seatbelt is buckled and it's in a forward drive gear. That means your stop start is then activated. And that's when you come to a complete stop, the engine will shut off. Also, another thing about that start stop feature is that it may actually reduce, when you do come to a complete stop and it shuts off the engine, it may reduce the level of air that comes out of your climate control system. So just be aware of that. Pushing down again, and that's screen number 7. You can see that in the top of the display there. Screen number 7 is audio, so that shows me where my audio display. And then that is messages. And then press OK to enter screen setup. I just press the middle. And now what you're seeing, it says center, upper left, upper right. And so what it's asking me is, do I want to change what is displayed up here? Or do I want to move that around? So it says upper left, press OK to select. Then I can select outside temperature, time, range to empty. So I'm just going to leave it as compass, since that's where it was. Isn't that pretty neat? So all of these are actually customizable, all the different little things in the corners. Upper right, defaults, current gear. Really cool stuff. So that's my screen setup right there. Now I'm going to press left on the multi-directional keypad to get out of that screen, and that goes back to the digital speedometer. So there's a total of 9 screens right there that you can kind of customize, all using the multi-directional keypad on the left side of the steering wheel. And it's, as you saw, it's super easy to use. Before now, I literally had never touched this. I had never used this at all. And I didn't even research what this does, but in a lot of vehicles, when you see a multi-directional keypad with an OK in the middle, that simply means 9 times out of 10 that's going to control the multi-information display that's in the middle between the tach and the speedometer. So without any knowledge, I was able to completely navigate this, and I'm just highlighting that to show you that's an easy thing to use. Super convenient. Moving on to the middle portion, I like how this screen is set up. One of the cool things about this is that this thing looks like it's embedded here in a really thick, tough cell phone case or something like that. That's pretty cool. And the screen is off right now. I like that. I love the fact that there is a simple button right here that says screen off. That is really nice. Now to cut the screen back on, you can either push the button, and you can see the screen came back on. I'm gonna cut it back off. Or you can just tap the screen and the screen comes back on. Pretty nice. I prefer the screen tap, but whatever you want to do. Another thing that I like is how chunky these buttons are. So you can see on the left side, it has volume, climate, and tune. So the 2 on the very end are associated with audio. The 1 in the middle is associated with climate. In fact, this whole bank of buttons right here in the middle that's inside of this brushed aluminum look is all climate, and it's super easy to understand. Dual zone climate control, passenger temp, driver temp, front defrost, rear defrost, mode, so that controls your fan direction, AC, and recirculate. I love how the recirculate button is the shape of a Jeep. Isn't that neat? And then here is your hazard lights. So that's it. I take that back. You can see auto. So whenever you press auto here, it is going to maintain the cabin temperature. You can see in the top left and the top right. So it's going to automatically maintain this temperature in the cabin whenever auto is pressed. And then if I change the temperature, you can see that button actually gets bigger. That's pretty cool. And then once I'm done changing the temperature, it gets small so it's not in the way. Pretty nice feature. Right here are controls for your windows. You can see driver, passenger front, driver side, passenger side rear. And that's going to be for all of your window controls right there, power windows. Then here's a cigarette lighter adapter, and then where it says media, another one of those cool little technological pieces that is for an Apple Lightning charger, and then this is going to be for USB. That's, I guess, more associated for Android, and then auxiliary right there. Now this switch right here controls the locking and unlocking of the window controls. So right now you can see that the switch is actually in the down position and there is an X on the window icon. So right now there is no access to roll down the rear windows. So I can from up here, but the rear passengers cannot roll down their windows because they're locked. That's a pretty cool feature. Then this is your 4-wheel transfer case. So you can see here, you're going to use this in order to put it in 4 high, 4 low. And then this is just your regular shifter. You can see that there's a red lever right there. And so that's what you're going to use to put it in reverse, down to neutral. And then you also have sequential shifting, so you can flip it over at any speed and you can gear up and down right here. Now this is kind of unique, so you're going to pull it toward the back of the Jeep in order to upshift, push it toward the front of the Jeep in order to downshift. So that's kind of an interesting thing. That's actually in reverse of Japanese vehicles. It's the other way around. And then here is your emergency brake. Now let's take a quick look at all of this that's going on in the middle screen right here. Again, this is one of those things that's really super intuitive. I really like how this works. You can see that right now we're on the media screen, and whatever is highlighted in red is what is going to be displayed on the screen right here. And you can see that you've got 6 preset stations there, all the way up to 12. Man, this thing is super responsive. Look at that. Look how fast it actually responds to touch. I really like that. Direct tune, that's pretty cool. Go. And so now it tuned it right to the station that I put in there. That's really nice. I like that. But you can actually tune to the station that you want to tune to right here, and you can see it pop up. That's a little bit small, but hey, that's okay. And then you can actually go here and hold it, and that quickly memorized it right as position number 1. So that's how you memorize a preset station. Then you have different sources right here, and you've got Bluetooth, and no Bluetooth device is connected. Would you like to pair one? We're not going to do that right now. But then you can actually go to your different sources right here for audio. XM radio or satellite radio, your auxiliary cable, USB 1, USB 2, and that coincides with the panel right down there. Pretty nice. I like that setup. Then we can go back here and hide that source screen, and then you can see that you have audio here, and this is going to be how to change your different audio controls using balance and fade, equalizer. Speed adjusted volume is pretty neat, and that's actually really effective in a vehicle like this because there is a good bit of road noise simply by the nature that it's a Jeep with big tires and you know, not much up top as far as sound dampening. So this increases the volume level relative to an increase in vehicle speed, and you can do that, and it will really increase the volume of the stereo as the speed in the Jeep increases. This is especially effective also if you have that have the top off or the top down. I like that. And then right here is climate, so I can just press climate right there, and that's going to show me all of my different climate settings. Oh, that's neat. You've got a little slide adjuster thing, so you can adjust the temperature right there. That's really cool. And then you can see here where it says mode. You can manually adjust the mode right there. See? Every time I push the button, it changes the fan direction, or you can just do that. Man, the sensitivity of this screen is really nice. Super intuitive. I like it. Great job with that, Jeep. And then this is going to be your fan speed. Again, you can control fan speed with this dial here. You can see it's changing. Or you can just do it here. Or you can directly select a number that you want the fan speed to be on. Really nice. I like it. Whenever you press sync, so let's just say it's on 66 on one end and 68 on the other. When I press sync, it's going to automatically sync both at the same temperature. Then I have controls here, mirror dimmer, backup camera, and man, I absolutely love the backup camera in this thing. It is such a crystal clear backup camera, and you also have my wife walking around the backup camera, and she has no idea I'm filming the backup camera. My wife came with me today for moral support, so you guys would have no way of knowing it that she's been here this whole time. Maybe I've got her in a shot or two, but yeah, that was her just walking by on the backup camera. Love you, honey. So back to the backup camera. It feels weird seeing a backup camera and sitting here not being in reverse. I'm in park right now, but that's only because I'm messing with the settings of it. So that's your backup camera. That's in controls. Then I can press settings here, and these are going to be all your different settings that you can customize in the Jeep to really fit exactly the way you want it to fit. Let's take a quick look at lights. Headlight off display or delay. So in other words, what that's telling me is that whenever I turn off the Jeep, the lights are going to stay on for 30 seconds. Headlight illumination on approach. So in other words, if I press unlock and it's nighttime, the headlights are going to stay on for 30 seconds when I press the doors or when I press unlock on the key fob, so that it can light up and I can kind of see what I'm doing. I like that feature. Back to controls. Settings. So I would really recommend going to controls, going to settings, and then basically customizing all of these to exactly the way you want them to be customized, so that you can use your Jeep the way you want to use it. It can actually become yours pretty quickly. All of these are apps, and these are really, really cool. Honestly, I don't know much about these, but I imagine that a lot of these are going to be subscription based. Navigation. There's your navigation screen. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. I imagine you can probably pinch in and out. Yep. So you can pinch in and out there as well. And then there's phone. We don't need to pair a phone right now. Then there's settings. And this is actually I think this was inside the kind of similar to what was inside the regular settings too, in controls. So you got controls and settings. Yeah, that's the same screen right there. So that's just two ways to get to the same screen. I really, really like how easy this is to use. Oh, here's another cool thing. You've got navigation inside all of these things here, inside of your media screen right there. But you also have navigation. If you want to press here, it'll cover the entire screen. That's pretty cool. I gotta say, Jeep has done an amazing job on the backup camera. This is the most clear, easy to use, clean display for a backup camera that I've ever seen in a vehicle. Check this out. Jeep is running. I'm going to throw it in reverse, and look at that. I hope you can see just how clear that is. That thing is absolutely amazing. And you can see that the little lines move in conjunction with the positioning of the steering wheel. And so all I need to do is, you see the lines on the parking lot right there? Right now, if I stay in this position, that's how I'm going to end up really kind of cockeyed in that parking space. So all I need to do is just make sure that I line up the lines with the lines on the parking lot. And I don't think I'm doing a great job of it right now because I'm trying to hold the camera, but okay. So there you go. And boom. Now just look how clear that is. It almost looks like I've got the camera, and that's what I'm pointing at, not through a camera though. Great backup camera. So this is what it's like to drive it at 70 miles an hour. the top down, 2 of the windows open. I wish you could see my wife's hair right now.